I don't know what happened there.
That was weird.
Yeah, I got kicked out, and then when I
Yeah,
tried to rejoin, it said the meeting was already,
in
or I already
progress.
had another meeting
Yeah.
going.
Then it
So,
got ended and then it didn't get ended. That's weird. All
yeah.
right. Well, hopefully this will work and hopefully people will find this.
Well, let's
Yeah,
go
on
ahead and
Discourse.
start letting people in.
Oh, okay. So far we only have, oh, now people are
Yeah,
starting to
there's
show
three.
up.
Yeah,
Oh, there
yeah.
we go. Okay. All right. You can turn your video on too.
Oh, I thought I had it on. There we go. All right. Got my
Okay.
video on.
You're going to share, right?
Yep.
Okay. Perfect. Did it show up? There's- I should admit people.
Yeah, go ahead and admit.
Okay. All right. Here they come. Welcome all. If you're looking for using AI for jobs to be done, you are in the right place. We'll get started
Yes,
in a
you
couple of
are.
minutes. If in the meantime you want to put into the chat where you're dialing in from, that would be great. Welcome. That's
So
how
what do we
where
got? We
I'm
got
from.
Atlanta and Dallas.
I put mine in too, just so everybody knows. We got Atlanta, Dallas, LA. Welcome. I assume that's Los Angeles and not Louisiana. Or Latin
Or
America.
depending where you are, lower Alabama. So I lived in lower Alabama. That's what we joke. That was our joke. Lower LA.
Well, Colorado Springs, welcome.
Awesome. Yeah. One of my
Someone from
favorite spots,
India.
Colorado Springs. Yeah. Welcome from
Excellent.
India.
Welcome, everybody. We'll get going in a minute or two. Someone's from south of France, and I guess it's not sunny there. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Oh, it's nighttime. That's true. Hopefully, it was sunny today. It's not here in Seattle.
I was gonna say here in Austin, Texas, it actually just started to turn sunny. We had
Yeah.
rain
Ooh.
on Sunday, all day Sunday, the most of Sunday, all day Monday, all day yesterday. So
Oh, welcome, Matthew. You're not too far away in Vancouver. Yeah, it's we've got our first rainy day in a while, so that's not bad. Can't complain about that.
I assume that's Vancouver, Canada, and not Vancouver, Washington.
I'll assume so. It is good.
Yeah.
How many we got 22 people here. We'll still give a couple of another minute or two, make sure everybody's here.
Yeah.
Oh, Kimberly's in another place and has different. Says
That's right.
she.
Yeah, she wants to start the live stream here, so we're gonna have to wait
No,
on
but she
her.
says she has 9, 10 attendees where she is.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
She's in a different place.
she's in the webinar to redirect people.
Oh, okay, good. All right. So she's sending it over. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, given we're going to be setting up rooms, we should wait a minute or two.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, we can wait
Although
till
this one's,
right
yeah.
before we're ready there. So just so you know, if you ended up in the webinar, Zoom webinars does not allow breakout rooms. And since we're actually doing some group exercises here, that's why you're in the Zoom meeting room instead. Uh, so that's what's happening here. When we go into the breakout rooms, I would encourage you to turn on your videos for that interaction. You don't need to have them on now, but definitely as you get into the breakout room session, I think you'll enjoy it more if you turn on your videos. So
Yeah, so just information. This will be slightly different. If people have been to other product side or 280 group webinars, we're going to be slightly different on this one. You'll actually be
absolutely,
doing
yeah.
some work. You just don't absorb. You're gonna participate.
Hmm.
So that's why we're giving a little extra time for people to jump in. Plus, we had that little webinar redirect for some people. Okay, we're up to about 28 people.
And this whole session is going to be close to an hour and a half, so it's a little longer than what we typically do for a webinar.
So if those of you who are just sitting there in your computers hoping to absorb for the next hour and a half, change your expectations. You're gonna get to
Hmm.
participate in this one and work with some of the other folks that are in the room.
We get to do a little work.
Yeah, gonna keep you busy. Hopefully, I haven't scared anybody away. Or you can probably get started, Tom, and you can start going through some of the overview before we get to the first breakout. I'll keep admitting people in the interim. We can both work on it.
All right, yeah, let's do the kickoff type things.
Yeah.
And I know that Kim wants to live stream, but we're not too worried about that. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So I'll let you take the first few slides
All
here.
right, welcome everybody. So you have joined the using AI to help you figure out to create jobs to be done and get that accomplished. The two of us that are leading your session today, you've got Dean Peters. No, it's not Dean Peters. Somehow that's a typo. It's Tom Evans. Looking.
Oh, you
That'll
didn't
teach me to
stay at a
read.
Holiday Inn last night, did you?
So the person on the left is not Dean Peters, it's Tom Evans. Tom, you can introduce yourself. At least it's
Oh,
your
it does
picture.
say, wow,
It does say
that
Dean
is
Peters,
so
that's what I'm
funny.
saying.
I never even caught that. Yeah. So Tom Evans, I'm based in Austin, Texas. Somewhere or the other, we missed making that edit. That's too funny.
All right, excellent.
And I'm thrilled to be here because I love jobs to be done, and I love to see ways that we are able to use AI. So
Excellent. And I'm your co-host. I'm Kenny Kranseler, and I'm also a consultant and trainer at Productside, but dialing in from Seattle, Washington. So welcome everybody. And without further ado, we'll dive into some of the topic. Before we do that, we've got a couple of sort of adversarials that we want to share with you. Tom, you can go forward. Yeah.
yeah,
So sponsor of this is Productside. And Productside is a consultancy and training company that's focused on making life better for product managers, essentially. And what we do is we know how hard it is to create, deliver, and execute on products that people only use but actually love. So we do everything from helping product managers align stakeholders, predicting customer needs, managing their endless backlogs. We've seen it all. And we tend to differentiate ourselves on a couple of things. One is we're here to help companies make a complete transformation. Anything from strategy to execution to training to advice, we'll enable it to happen for you. And we provide expertise that's tailored to your specific context. We don't have one solution fits all. We know your challenges are unique, so the solutions that we build and enable for you are unique for that. And you've got people like Tom and I who are invested experts who've been spent a long time uh, living through and becoming product managers. And so we're here to help you and make sure that everything works for you. So we're thrilled to have you with us today. Let's dive in and figure out how we can help your product team thrive in today's environment. Before we dive in, let's talk about a couple of ways to keep this session of using AI for jobs to be done interactive. Um, so we will have some questions, Tom. Oh, there you go. So first, we always get the question of, can I watch this recording later? And the answer to that question is an absolute yes. We'll send everybody that's been to this or has signed up for it or is registered a link to the recording after the webinar ends. And during the session, we want to hear from you. You can just throw it into the chat if you have a question um, during the presentation itself. Because this one's interactive, we're probably going to have less questions than we think. But if you do have a question about either the content that's being shared or the facilities that enable us to do that, I'll be monitoring it throughout. You don't have to wait until the end. So you can also use that chat feature if you have specific other folks in the group. You'll have the ability to use that to chat with some of the other folks in the group as well. And with that done, before we dive into today's topic, I want to have folks invite and connect to us on LinkedIn. There's a QR code on your screen right now, which allows you to connect with Productside on LinkedIn. And it's more than just a place to follow us and what we're doing. We're really trying to create a community. And when you join that community, you'll get access to some of the best practices around leadership that hopefully can inspire your own growth as product professionals. Um, you'll also be able to join into some conversations about the role of product management and hopefully some tips on how you can be more impactful as a product manager, and also provide opportunities for you to connect with other similarly minded professionals who share some of the same challenges and goals you have. Again, scan the QR code on the screen now. It's a place where you can share your thoughts, swap ideas, keep the conversation growing. We will start to build a product management community together. And so without further ado, I will turn it over to Tom, who's going to lead us into our key discussion on using AI to help us enable jobs to be done.
All right, excellent. So, yes, this is about jobs to be done, but it's not just about jobs to be done. It's about using AI to better analyze what you learn from your customers to define the jobs to be done, as well as a few other things. And then at the end, uh, we are going to do really a reflection and any lessons learned around really mostly the AI, but using AI, but also really anything that comes around in terms of jobs to be done. But before we jump into our content, we got a poll for you. So let's launch that poll. Kimberly, are you able to launch that poll for us? And
There it goes.
there we go. There is the poll. So, when it comes to using AI for product discovery and analysis work, which best describes where you are today? So, I'm experimenting on my own. I use AI for drafts or summaries, but I don't fully trust it. I'm curious, but unsure how to apply AI rigorously. And I rarely or never use AI for this kind of work. And I know that's one that, be honest there. If you're still waiting to jump onto using AI, and I am highly confident and I use it regularly. So let's see where everybody lands on that. Give about
Looks like
another 10 seconds here. So 10, 9, 8,
Looks like we got
5.
a good quorum here.
Yeah, we do have a pretty good quorum there.
Let's see.
Yep, we do. Yep. So
All
let's
right,
go
I'll share
ahead.
it out
All
for
right.
us.
You guys sharing the results
Yeah,
there?
I'm sharing. It
All
looks
right.
like
Perfect.
we've got about a third of the people are experimenting. A third of the
Hmm.
people are using it for drafts or summaries, but don't really trust it. And then another sixth are curious but unsure how to apply it. And then we got some small segment of people who are very confident and use it on a regular basis. So,
Yeah.
uh,
So we have kind of like a 30% who are, experimenting on their own, 30% who are using it to draft, and about another 30%, 25 or 30% who said, I'm not yet sure around that. So I guess it's
yeah,
25%. So,
yeah. And then the
all
left, and then we got a
right.
small subsegment who are really confident and can teach everybody else how to do this stuff.
Excellent. Well, let's get into the content here and introduce you to this. But first, let's understand jobs to be done, because without understanding jobs to be done and some of the related topics, AI is not going to help you very well. It might give you some answers, but you're not going to have any confidence in terms of the answers that you get from it. So, first of all, let's talk about the framework for understanding customers. And so there's a lot of different terminology that flies around when we're talking about customer needs, and you'll hear needs and problems and pains and gains and jobs to be done. What we want to do is to introduce you to a framework to connect all of that together. And so when we're understanding our customers, the first thing to understand is that there's a persona who is trying to accomplish a job. And when I say the job, this isn't your job title. This is really about a specific, and this isn't like a detailed task either. This is like, here is a goal, here is a direction that I want to be able to move in terms of that job. And as I'm working on that job, I have a desired outcome that I want to achieve. So everyone as a persona working to achieve a job has that desired outcome of by which we measure success. But then as we're trying to work on that, problems get in the way. And when we have problems getting in the way, we don't achieve those desired outcomes. And that results in what we call pain. So I feel the pain because I'm not achieving that desired outcome. And so when someone's expressing the pain to you, it really is the symptom, but it's not necessarily getting to the root cause of the problem that is getting in the way. And then the last term that we want to introduce you to is the idea of gains. And so with gains, this is when I exceed the desired outcome. But it's not just exceeding the desired outcome, it's exceeding that desired outcome in an important way, or I'm exceeding it. We often might also call that delight. And so if you think about the levels of satisfaction, there's dissatisfied because we're not achieving the desired outcome. That's where we're experiencing pain. We're satisfied because we are achieving that desired outcome. And then there is the gain or delight where we are exceeding that desired outcome, and it's exceeding an important outcome for us. So that keep that in mind in terms of the framework, but I still want to get in talking about what are jobs to be done. Well, it's really easy as we're having customer conversations or talking about customers to start talking about solutions. But it's not really the solution that's important. It is what is it helping customers do? And so if we think about the job is how do we help our customers with our product achieve a job that improves their lives in a particular way, and that improving their lives is achieving that outcome. Well, one of the first one of these quotes, and I'm only going to focus on one of these, is that people don't want quarter inch drills, we want quarter inch holes. Now, so the job to be done is to make a whole, if you want to think about that. Some people would argue I could take that even to a higher level of, am I using it to build furniture? Is it I'm using to install something on a wall? Or what is the goal? And there, so it kind of gets to the point, there are different levels of jobs to be done. And part of our challenge as a product manager is to abstract it to the right level in terms of the context of what we can actually do for our customers. So let me share with you a story, and this is my jobs to be done story. Oops.
Oh,
Ah,
I delayed it.
what did I do? Did I just close out on here? Let me relaunch that. There we
There we
go.
go.
So we talked about my jobs to be done story. And so one of the challenges that I always had in as a consultant, I travel a lot, but as I would get to the hotel, I often had I'd pull out my shirts and they would be completely wrinkled, and I'd have to go and fix that. And it was really frustrating to me because while there the hotel had a iron and an ironing board, it was always a difficult time finding a place to set up the iron and the ironing board. So I was never sure where to set it up because there wasn't a space right there that was close to the electrical outlets. And so I would always complain about how frustrating it was to iron my clothes in a hotel. And so I thought the problem was just find a better spot to put an electrical outlet, put it in a more convenient place, or not having access to electrical outlet. Well, someone challenged me on that and said, "Well, Tom, is that really the problem that you are trying to solve?" I go, "Well, no, that's the solution, isn't it?" And so we debated a little bit on it. And I thought, well, I just want flexibility in where I'm setting up the iron and the ironing board. But even then, I was challenged some more. And so after that, I realized that the job to be done wasn't to um, iron the clothes. The job that I was trying to do was to remove wrinkles from my clothes. And so that was the real job that I was trying to do is remove wrinkles from my clothes, and that I had pains that I was feeling and that it took too long. It was boring. It was difficult to set up. And there was also a social job, and we'll talk about those in a moment. But I wanted to be able to look professional for my customers. And it was then after understanding that I discovered a new solution, which was Downy Wrinkle Releaser. And so when I travel and I go to a hotel, I don't pull out the iron and the ironing board. I go and pull out my small little bottle of Downy Wrinkle Releaser and I spray it on my clothes and I remove the wrinkles from the clothes. So, yes, you could say at one abstraction, the job to be done is to iron the clothes. But if I take it up to a higher level of abstraction and think about removing wrinkles from my clothes, this opens us up for the potential of different solutions and a way to come up with new innovations. And so that's why I like us to abstract it. Now, the reality is, if I am a product manager working for a company that makes irons and ironing boards, I'm probably not going to go and do research to come up with a spray. And so I might choose the abstract of job to be done is to iron clothes, but I think it's always useful to abstract that up to a higher level. And so some of the guidelines we want you to keep in mind when using jobs to be done is to know the different types of jobs. And I'm going to mention those here in just a minute in another slide. Make sure that as you are looking at the job to be done is understand the specific context, understand the circumstance, because the circumstance can change the job to be done. make sure that we talk about jobs to be done in a way that is solution agnostic. And then finally, understand that jobs are stable over time, but the solutions evolve. And the solutions evolve because they deliver better outcomes for us. And I'll just quickly talk about, one of the examples I like to use is the iPod. Well, if we think about the iPod, the job to be done is likely listen to music. Okay. I would say listen to music on the go because that helps me focus on a particular circumstance. But the iPod wasn't the first solution to do that. Kenny, what was the first solution that you ever used to listen to music on the go?
Oh, Walkman.
Oh, I'm sure you had something before that.
Oh, I had my portable transistor radio with an earphone
Yeah, your
attached to
transistor
it.
radio. Now you're
I
aging
thought you were going to go
yourself.
way back. It was the traveling minstrels in the Middle Ages too, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So well, none of us go back that far ourselves, but that could be. So you see, the solution has evolved over time, and it's not just because of the technology, but because the technology enabled us to achieve better outcomes than what we could with the previous technologies. So that's the important part. The job stayed stable over time, but the solutions evolved because they delivered better outcomes. Well, there's three different types of jobs we typically talk about. There's the core functional job. Okay, so in my case of ironing shirts or removing wrinkles from shirts, that was the core functional job. But there's also emotional and social jobs that we can accomplish. So with me, it was to the emotional would be reduce the manage the frustration of, or no, actually be making myself look professional. Okay, you could argue, is that the social or is that the emotional? But you could look at that in terms of being seen as professional, or make myself feel confident. That's another way that we might look at the emotional job. Now, if I'm in a business to business setting, there are also, financial outcomes that our customers typically want to be able to achieve. Now, that's not necessarily the job to be done, but that is definitely a key outcome that they're trying to achieve. So we'll pause there just for a moment. And Kenny, any questions or thoughts that come up to you around that before we get into actually using AI?
Um, yeah, so a couple of things to note there is that one of the things we have a hard time doing is getting to some of these social and emotional jobs, and sometimes those are the most important, right?
Hmm.
And in
Yeah.
your regard, looking professional and feeling confident when you went to visit a client was a key part of that job.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you think about, especially in consumer markets, there are many times that the social or emotional job is so much more important than the functional. There's still a functional job there, but it leads to the accomplishing of the social or emotional job. So let me set up here what we're going to do here, and we have about an hour to go and do some group exercises. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to walk through this approach of where we are going to first take some transcripts from voice of the customer, and we're going to have AI help us build out an affinity map and identify key themes that have come out of the voice of the customer. The second thing, and then once we finish that, we'll come back and talk for a few minutes, and then we'll go into the next exercise, which is to identify the jobs to be done. And so we're going to have AI help us build out the jobs to be done. Then we're going to come back, talk about that, and then talk about writing, use AI to write some outcome statements. Come back, talk about that, and hopefully we'll have time. If we don't, we'll leave this as an exercise for the attendee, but we'll use AI to evaluate satisfaction. Now, there is a mural page that we are using. And Kim, are you able to put that into the chat window there, the mural page for us? And everyone can start clicking on that and gaining access. You don't have to have a mural account to be able to access that, but go ahead and start clicking into that. Here are some guidelines that I want to make sure that you follow because this is going to help you get the most out of the exercise. You're going to go into a breakout room with somebody that you've never met before. So take a minute to introduce yourself, okay? Turn on your cameras, introduce each other. So that can take a couple minutes to do. When we give you the instructions on how to use I encourage everybody to use AI because we want you to experience it. Don't have one person bring up their AI GPT that they're using or AI GPT that they're using, and you just follow along. I want everybody participating. And part of that is depending on which one you're using, well, everybody's going to get different results, and that's fine. But part of the importance is coming back and having that discussion. So discuss the results that you got, compare them, make a decision before you copy that into Mural. Make sure that you always give context to AI. And so as you're going through the exercises, make sure it has the previous context from both the voice of the customer transcripts as well as the results of the previous exercise. As long as you stay in the same chat window, you're more than likely going to have that context there. But just make sure that that's the case. And finally, and I think this goes back to maybe a bit of point that Stuart made there, is don't treat it as the final source of truth. Okay, especially in this kind of work. It creates some great hypotheses. It gives us a great starting point, but we are still the product manager. We are the human. We are the ones that understand the first principles of what we're doing with AI. And it's our responsibility to use it wisely and translate that output into something that we know is highly validated and is the truth. So whatever we get from AI is our initial hypothesis. So I mentioned the first exercise you're going to do is to do some voice of the customer analysis and do an affinity map. Well, I'm going to tell you about how I created this because I did it as synthetic VOC, and there's a couple of key learnings I want you to take from what I did here. I didn't just say, what I wanted it to do was to create for me a full transcript of 10 different personas. And I didn't start off and just say, hey, create 10 transcripts of 10 different personas. I walked into it step by step because if I had left it wide open, I don't think I would have gotten as good as results. The context here for all of this is around using home automation. So the first thing I did is I asked AI to create the 10 different personas, and I wanted to make sure that it was represented a broad range of potential users of home automation. So I got those results, I reviewed them, and then the second thing is create the interview guide for me. So I had to create an interview guide so that it could go and follow that interview guide. Well, then I said, give me the full transcripts for using this interview guide. And the first result I got back was just summaries. So it didn't give me what I had asked for. It just gave me summaries of the interviews. And so I said, I need the full transcripts. Give me the transcripts. So it gave me full transcripts. But they were really short transcripts with no depth in them at all. And we had agreed before we were going to do a deep analysis and a great voice of the customer. And I realized, well, I hadn't really forced it to think about deeper probing type questions. So I said, let's go and create some questions that you can use as part of your probing to gain a deeper level of insight. And so I had to build those out. And then I asked it again, give me the full transcripts up to 30 minutes. And guess what it gave me? It gave me just the key themes. And I said, why didn't you give me what I asked for? And so I had it again go and run it again. And I finally got the full 10 transcripts of 30-minute each. And so, yes, these were the question was, were these actual interviews or were these synthetic? These were totally synthetic. So that's why I'm telling you this story. I would not, I think synthetic interviews are a nice way to get some initial thoughts and to develop some initial hypotheses, but I would not trust them for my voice of the customer. And let me show you why that is the case. I'm going to open up my Claude session here where I did some analysis based upon that. All right. And one of the things I want you to see here, I ask it to do the synthesis or the affinity mapping. It says, before I begin, I want to flag something important. They're labeled as synthetic, and there are clear signs of template reuse. Many personas give identical verbatim answers to the later questions. All right. So that's the weakness in using just synthetic users. All right. Because you're going to get some of the same results. So let's go into this first exercise. In this one, you are going to do a voice of the customer synthesis using affinity maps. If you have never used affinity maps before, what we do is we create we identify all of the key observations, and then we cluster them together with like ideas. We put them together into themes. We add a theme headline to it, and then we also do a one-sentence summary of what came out of that. And so, if we open up and look at Mural, here are the things I want to point you toward. Is here up above, I have an example of what we're going to be doing. Here is the synthetic voice of the customer. There's about 60 pages of information in there, 50 to 60 pages. And you will need to download that to be able to feed that into your AI that you're using. And the way to do that is you double click and then you go up here into that upper left-hand corner and you'll see where it says download the file. So make sure you do the download of that file, so because you'll need that. And then in the very first exercise, we give you a prompt. Oops, sorry, let me go down to the prompt. Down here underneath, so there's instructions over here to the left-hand side if you want to read through the instructions. But I give you a prompt, and that prompt is in the green text in the black background, looking like an old computer monitor that we used years ago. And you can copy that prompt by doing a right click with Mural and then say copy text. So you click copy text, and that will give you the prompt. And the first thing that it will ask you to do is to identify all of the key raw observations. So that's task one. And I'm going to say you don't necessarily have to copy that into Mural, and I'll show you why. Is when I use Claude to go through and get all the key observations, it came away, well, let's see here if I can get down there. It came away with over 100 key observations. And so in reality, if I were to do a full voice of the customer, yeah, that would be exactly how many of those that I would end up getting. And I'll show you what you could do if you wanted to copy all of those. When you try to paste all of this stuff into Mural, I'm going to come over here to a big empty spot. When you do a paste, so this is for the rest of the exercise, when you do a paste, it will ask you, how do you want to copy it in? Well, in this case, I want to use sticky notes. Now, in some of the other exercises, I would recommend that you paste it as text because it will make it easier to put it into the template. But in this case, I'm going to paste the sticky notes. And you're going to see, look at all the sticky notes that I just got over here. So I got quite a few sticky notes. For this purposes of the example, I just put in a few of these. Okay. Now, the next thing it's going to do is ask you to come up and identify, do the affinity mapping. So it's going to do the affinity mapping for you, and it's going to output some key themes with some descriptions of each of those themes. Now, when I did it, I ended up with 12 or 13 themes. So I asked it to tell me what are the top four themes. So that's what I want you to get to is what are the top four themes. So where are you going to put this? When we send you into the breakout room session, you're going to be assigned a group number. And you're going to want to go and look in Mural for your group. So the way that you get to there is that there's an outline over here. See where I'm clicking on the outline, and then you're going to come down here and select your group number. So let's say you get selected for group number 1. It's going to bring you down here, and you're going to have the same working place that I had before. And so you can work within that. So we have, Kenny, we have about
I think we had
32.
seven, right? Yeah, we're gonna have
Yeah, so let's
seven.
let's break that into 7 groups. You're gonna get randomly assigned, and when you get into those groups, then start working on the exercise. And we'll give about 15 minutes or so to work on that, and we'll turn on a timer up above just so you can see that.
And
We will come around. Oh, go ahead.
how do we download the PDF from
Okay,
the Mural?
yeah, yeah. So what you have to do is you have to double click it. And then
Okay.
you see up above, there's a place to say download the file. So do download the file. Okay.
Not working for me.
Did that work for you?
It might be let me see if there's a problem there.
Yeah, I got it now.
Okay, good.
Okay, good.
Perfect.
All right. Kenny, do you have that set to go into the
I
breakout
think
room?
Kim's setting up the groups,
Okay,
the
Kim,
breakout.
yeah, set that up for what did we say? 7 groups? Yeah, 7
7 rooms,
groups.
yeah.
And randomly assign them, and we'll launch you here in just a moment. Is it ready, Kim?
Okay, she's getting it there. People have to jump. You may have to click on join breakout group. Everybody's gone. Tom wound up in one too. He'll have to come back. Kim, do you know where Tom wound up? I lost Tom. Oh, there's Tom. I'm gonna bring him back. Ah, we got assigned too, so I had to jump back to the main room. You're on mute.
Oh, yeah, they usually don't assign the co-host. That was weird.
Yeah, it did.
All right. We're going to be able to move around into breakout rooms, right?
I think that is, yes, we can.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Let's wait
Give him
just a
a
couple
couple
minutes.
minutes. Yeah, give him a couple minutes to
Yeah, give them a
introduce
couple
themselves.
minutes to get started, and then we'll go from
And we
there.
don't have to go to room 3 because Roger's there.
Okay.
He'll keep them under control. What are folks doing? They're moving around.
All right. For those of you watching the live stream, we're in an exercise. So sorry. It's
Will be
if
very exciting.
yeah, you're not able to see a whole lot, but you do have, well, I guess you don't necessarily have the link, so you can't see those either.
Kim could put the link in the live stream. Oh, you put the timer up. Yeah, because I can't put a timer up.
Yep.
I was an administrator on the
Oh yeah, I didn't assign that to. That's okay.
yeah.
I got it.
Okay. You want to take odds? I'll take evens. We can skip 3.
Yep. Yeah. Let's do
Okay.
that.
Okay.
I'm going to give just another minute here
Yeah,
for
we'll
them to
go.
get
Go to
get
11
some
minutes before we
try to
jump
get
in.
some momentum going on their own. And
See if they have questions.
I can share, but I'm going to go into a breakout room here soon, and that won't do any good.
All right, let's see. There we are. Oh, go away.
All right, I'm going to go and start jumping into rooms.
Okay, I'll do that too. I'll be back. Come on. Oh, Ryan's in group 2. You can skip that one too. Ryan's gonna. Well, I'll just join in and jump out.
I want to add just a couple minutes. Most people are getting pretty good, well, along there, but
Some people are confused. Some people are moving around.
yeah.
It's the inevitable learn Merle and learn AI at
Well,
the
and that
same
was it.
time.
That's it. Is it's they're getting stuck up on the learn. They're using Mural, not
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
actual AI part, but they're getting there. Wow, we might only get to we'll see if how far we get along here.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to close the breakouts and start bringing them back in.
You got a half hour, half minute leeway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you
All
bring me
right.
back because I did something wrong?
Oh,
Everybody came back.
we brought you back because we want to talk about this for a moment and take you on to the
You
next
finished
step.
your first
So,
task.
yeah. So, yeah, if did anyone have any questions that came out of it? I know that some of you just struggle with Mural, and that's one of the learning curves sometimes when you are using it for the first time. But the goal really is to leverage AI. Any questions or thoughts that came away from the first exercise that we did?
The thing we came up with was the different theme descriptions. I mean, radically different.
Oh, what do you
Okay,
mean?
yeah. Even though you
We kind
started
of
with,
figured they meant the same
Okay.
thing, but they were worded very differently.
yeah. Well, that's all part of AI is that uh, because it's not a deterministic output, but a probabilistic output, or at least generative AI, that's going to happen. And that's part of the reason we encourage you to use different prompts, okay, or use different Gen AI GPTs, because you're going to get different responses. And if you're working as a group, have each person do it, because even though you use the same GPT, you're going to get different responses. And so that helps you drive those conversations. So that's a really great takeaway there. Anyone else? Any other questions or thoughts before we go to part 2 here?
We found it interesting that the personas weren't the same, and they kind of overlap. So we had a Venn diagram for the personas. So
nice.
like some people had, so I had 5, and then other people in my team had 3 and 3, but they weren't the same. But they probably Venn diagrammed to my 5. And the interesting thing is, I was using Cowork, and another person was using Claude, and another, which is the same model, but actually just accessed a different way. And I think the other one was Gemini. But I thought it was just interesting that the same model actually came up with different personas.
Yeah.
And they diagrammed a bit strangely as well.
Yeah. Different personas that fell under the same theme is what you're saying, or it felt like it was the same.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Okay. And one of the things that I will say, if I were doing this in real life, I would have read through all of the transcripts before I started using AI, just to make sure that I had an understanding of everything that was in the transcripts. In a case like this, we don't have time for that, but you have an opportunity to, at least start to see some of those challenges that come up when using AI. All right, well, let's go to the next step, which means I need to start sharing my screen. Getting my slides up here. So that was the first one. The next thing we want you to do is to write some job statements. And in this case, what I want you to do is to select one persona group. And so look at one of the key themes, identify, a key persona group, or ask it. Actually, I think that's in my, sorry, I forget my instructions here myself, because a lot of has going on between now and the last time I looked at this. I say that. All right. No, I don't say that, but go and ask it for a set of personas that are similar. So do a prompt that says, out of all the personas here, which ones seem to have similar type needs? And so get it set up on that in terms of who do you think the personas are that have similar type needs? And then I want you to go and prompt it to write these job statements. And so these are the 3 different types of job statements using this format. So there's a model to write the functional action verb plus the object of action. So listen to music, remove wrinkles from shirts. Emotional, okay, feel confident when presenting to my customers. Social, be seen as professional when presenting to my customers. So we want you to use that format in writing those job statements. And you're going to write just one job statement for each of those types. And so this is what your model looks like. I'm going to go back to Mural now. And so here you'll see the empty place. We did not give you a full prompt in this case because we want you to write the prompt. And one of the ways that you can help frame it is to tell it, here's the format I want you to use in writing those job statements. So in this case, you can probably copy some text and then edit it down. Or maybe the easiest way is just to do a screenshot. Go in and do a screenshot of these formats and then set that up in your instructions and say, write out, first identify the persona group if you haven't already done that. And then say, for this persona group, I want you to write some job statements here. Some of the things to be looking for is I always find IAI doesn't follow this format exactly. And so you can go back and correct it, tell it to do this. If it includes an outcome as part of it, go back and correct it. So that's the next exercise here. So we got more instructions there. We're going to send you back out into the same breakout groups. This time we're going to do 10 minutes for the exercise because this one I think is fairly quick to get through. So we'll give you 10 minutes to do that exercise.
And we're just doing jobs to be done.
And you're just doing jobs to be done. You're only doing that one
not
item,
desired
jobs
outcomes.
to be done. Exactly. Yes. So let's go ahead and get those rooms open again. I guess, Kim, if you got that all. Kim, if you want to share that screen again, that worked great. Please do that. And make sure to focus on just the jobs to be done part of one of the exercises.
How's it doing there, Tom?
Yeah, most of them are making good
Yeah,
progress.
it's looking good.
Oh, team three is overachieving.
Oh yeah, is that Ryan's team?
Is that right? Yeah.
No, that's Roger's team. That's
Oh,
Roger's team.
oh,
Team two is great.
team four overachieved.
Oh, team four is doing it on their own. Good. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, they're starting to do the next step. Yeah.
Oh no, sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing there.
Oh, team five sort of fell apart, huh?
Yeah, there was only one, so I moved them into team four or
Okay,
team
good.
whatever, another team four, I think it was.
Team four. Okay. Oh yeah. It's the inevitable problem. Some people leave.
All right, they got theirs pretty well done. They're still not.
They're
I
still
don't know.
working on it. Group is that sick. They said they were working on it. I was in there before. Group seven. Looks like they got
Team
stuff.
two's got it done.
All right, that's Ryan's team. Yeah. Three is.
There we go. This is a good example. I'm going to use team two as an example because they
pick on
the functional job, they always puts an out. AI will always give it an
outcome. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to say, I wonder if we even have time to go into the another
Desired
exercise.
outcomes, we may not.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, I may just bring up
By the
the
time you debrief from
overachieving
this, you can just
group.
tell them how to do it and let them do it on their own.
Yeah. Yeah. And let them know they'll still have access to this and they can
Yeah.
practice on their own.
Yep.
Because I want to make sure we get through the wrap up and the.
Oh yeah, we get that. Man,
Yep.
after any other questions, stuff. We probably won't be too many questions, but
All right, I'm going to launch this at 30 seconds left, or close at 30 seconds left.
Okay.
All right, closing the rooms.
Okay.
I'm going to change into share mode here.
There we go.
I think we have most everybody back, so let's quickly talk about this. So, one, I want to highlight because I see this with AI on a fairly consistent basis. So, this wasn't that group two did anything wrong, but it's AI did something wrong. Is that you have here as the functional job confirm the home is secured and settled without manually checking or remembering task. And so, in reality, those are actually outcomes. So, manually checking or without manually checking or remember task is really kind of more outcome oriented. And so the basic functional job is secure the home. It would be that simple of statement, because the rest of that then is going to start to reflect an outcome. Now, the other ones, the like feel calm when leaving home or settling in for the night. I think that's fine. Be seen as responsible, dependable to family members. I think I saw several of those that were along that line. So that's one of the always challenges is AI. Even though you give it instructions, it will almost always put an outcome into the functional job. And I think a lot of that is because people write functional jobs to be done that way, and it has a whole reference base that says that. Okay, anyone else? Any thoughts or questions from that exercise?
There was a great question from Stuart who's left. It said, how would you precede the tooling based upon subject matter expertise and the pre-read that you would do?
Yeah, no, super, yeah, and he had to drop off, but this is the exact point is that any work that I already have, if I have context of any time that I think is useful, I can drop that into the chat as part of my query. There's a couple ways to do that. One is just to say, enter the chat request and say, before you respond, I'm going to copy some additional elements in. I'll let you know when I'm ready. So then you might use the next chat to copy in all that context and then be able to say, I'm ready. And it will prompt you back. Are you ready? Okay. And so but I would typically just copy it in ahead of time into the chat window, and then I put my request there. Another thing, depending upon what you're using, you can create like a project. I think in Claude they call it project. In Copilot they call them notebooks. And I did that before, where I copied in all the context into the notebook as sources of information, and then when I was asking questions, it was only referring to what I actually had in that notebook. And so, for example, when we did this VOC initial analysis, that would be a place where if I had actually 10 or 20 or 50 transcripts, I would drop them into the notebook or into the project, and then I would go and start asking my questions based upon those transcripts.
And Tom, I'd put that in as sort of a best practice concept. If you're going to do anything that's not like an ad hoc, one-off kind of a chat interaction with your AI of preference, I would create a notebook and or a project or some container that you could put all the content related to that.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're collaborating with other teammates, that's a great way to share in the collaboration. Well, we have just a short time here, so I'm going to jump through these next couple of slides, and then we're going to leave the rest for you as an exercise. But the next thing that we're going to ask you to do is to express product outcomes. And there's a very specific format that we use for expressing that. We talk about the direction, the metric, and then any of the context in there. So, for example, when I secure my home, reduce the number of steps to secure the home for the night, reduce the likelihood that I forget a step in securing the home, increase the likelihood that everything in the room is secure. So there's different ways that you can think through and write out those outcomes. And we give you, the instructions there on how to do that. And then the last thing that we were going to talk about is the satisfaction level. And so when you have an outcome, your personas or your target markets are going to have a level of satisfaction. And that can range all the way to I'm completely dissatisfied, to I'm neutral about it, to I'm really satisfied. And what we want to be able to do is identify where, if there's satisfaction, that's not necessarily a area that you need to address because they're not feeling any pain. I'm looking for where they're either, neutral or dissatisfied. And so those would be things that I would want to do. In terms of the exercise, this is where you can do this on your own afterwards because you're still going to have access to this. Just make sure to keep the link open. But let's see. T group 3, apparently with Roger in charge, had a group of overachievers, and you actually completed it all. So if you want to go back and see a reference here, in this case, what we ask you to do in the satisfaction is pick 2 of the personas and identify their satisfaction level for each of those outcomes. Because what you're going to see is they're different. Let's see, did you end up different? Actually, yes, you did.
Yeah.
In more of the social jobs, you ended up differently. The rest of them, it looks like you had a similar level of outcome. But when I did it, you can look up at my example. When I go up to the master area, and by the way, if you see this output here in a nice table format, that came out of Claude. You can tell when it's a Claude because they do really nice table formats. You can see that between Linda and Wei, we actually had different levels of satisfaction. And so that does start to make you wonder, are they actually the same market segment? Because their satisfaction levels are different. So those are the key things I wanted to address. Let's see here. I saw a couple of chat messages real quick. Is there anything that we need to answer? What kind of
There was
guard?
one about what guardrails he put in.
I guess in terms of what? Because guardrails have a broad definition.
Yeah, so it doesn't run wild, doesn't make stuff up, doesn't pull out data that has nothing to do with what we're doing, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So part of this is giving it rewards and punishing, I think, is one of the things that we can do is so the first thing is remember we gave you a template to use. There were also some examples next to that format. And so you could go and say, here are some examples that are examples of good output. And so that's going to increase the likelihood they actually give you a good solid output. So that's kind of, it doesn't, I'm going to say that's about as much of a guardrail there as you could think about. The other is when you have to be the human in the loop there.
You're the ultimate guardrail.
Yeah. When you see a bad response, tell it. You didn't do it correctly. Let me tell you how to do this. And then have it go back and do come up with the response again.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Well, we're going to, again, we'll leave the rest of this as an exercise for the student here. Let's do one quick poll real quick. And then we're going to a couple little slides here, a couple final little slides. So that last one is, how do I now see AI's role in product discovery and analysis work? So I see it as a time saver. I see it as a thinking partner. It's useful, but limited. And the final one, I'm not convinced yet. So let's just take a few seconds to answer that one. All right, I'm going to give another 3 seconds here. Most everybody has responded. So 3, 2, 1. All right, let's end that. I've ended it. I'm going to share the results.
You convinced most people.
This is good. This is good. I'm so glad to see nobody thought it was just limited or still not convinced. But one of the things, and I'm not going to say if you look at it as a time saver, that's not a wrong answer because it can be a time saver. But I think for a lot of our product management work, I love to think of it as a thinking partner. Because when you are trying to break through some of the initial, starting points, getting hypotheses in place, drafting something together, it is a great starting point, and it has helped me a lot break through some of those thinking barriers. So great on that. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up. And Kenny, I'm going to let you talk to these last few
Sure,
slides.
a couple of things to work through. One is, as a guest of this webinar, you get access to a free tool. We've got the Productside blueprint and playbook. Use the QR code on the right now, and there is a link put in the chat to access the blueprint ebook that both Tom
this
and I
is our
co-wrote.
ebook. Yeah, this is our ebook here.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you want to see the blueprint in action, download the ebook that Tom and I actually co-scribed on this one. So you have an understanding, not necessarily how to use AI, but we actually leveraged AI to help us write this book, believe it or not.
We did, absolutely.
So you'll get that opportunity too. And then there's some couple opportunities if you want to get more of what we're seeing right now. Tom is doing some training in the late May in Austin from May 19th to 21st. If you use this QR code or click on the link that we put into the chat, you can easily sign up for that. There's also, if you're really anxious and want to jump onto training at the beginning of May, there's a virtual course that we're doing.
Yeah.
That I'm actually teaching. And if you want to have more webinars, we've got a webinar coming up in about 2 weeks with Roger, who helped help guide Team 3 today, and our CEO Rena Alexin, talking about how do I advance and leverage some opportunities to grow more quickly in my product management career. So either click on the link or do that. Again, here's all the courses. As I said, there's one that I'm teaching coming up May 5th, Tom's course from May 19th to 21st in Austin. And then we have some other courses in June, July, and an in-person in Chicago if you want to be in Chicago in the middle of August, a great time of year to be there for optimal product management. If you want to get more insight into AI, there are some courses we have there. Roger's teaching one at the end of this month, coming up in a couple of days. Dean has one in June, and then Roger's doing another one in July. So join up with those as well. With that,
right. Yeah, we don't really have time for much more Q&A, but we had some great discussions. So with that, we thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Thank you so much, folks.
All right. Keep that link and practice those on your own. So
have fun.
We'll talk to you later. Take care.